All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming in. I see people are still trickling in, so I will go ahead and just kind of talk to you a little bit about the alumni board before we introduce our speaker. First of all, thank you for joining us on a Monday night. Very happy to have you here. And so, like I said, my name is Rigo. I am one of the alumni board members. I am part of the second cohort. The first cohort was launched in January 2019. And for those of you who don't know about the HCDE Alumni Board, our mission is to continue to foster a community of HCDE alumni beyond UW. You know, we want to provide different opportunities for mentorship, career growth, community outside of the boundaries of our master's program or undergrad or beyond school. And so this tonight's event is part of our continuing education group. And so we are very happy to have Jen Smith from Microsoft. She is extremely passionate about accessibility, and she has an incredible presentation prepared for everyone. We hope that you learned something. Before we get started, because this is an accessibility event, I want to make sure that anyone who interested in captions, we are providing them. And so make sure that you are looking for them in the Zoom settings right below. For anyone interested in learning more about the HCD Alumni Board, please feel free to reach out to us. We are always looking for volunteers who might be willing to provide mentorship to students, who might be willing to do a talk themselves. We know that a lot of us, after we graduate the program, we join industry and we gain very valuable knowledge that would be extremely helpful to share and teach our peers about. And so that is what this is all about. We are trying to grow our HCD community beyond school. And so if anyone is interested, please reach out. And with no further ado, I would like to introduce you to Jen Smith. Jen, take it over.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, you all, for having me. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to take space in your evening and your dinner plans. Shout out to the board for welcoming me with such open arms and the group, and to our captioner tonight. Thank you, whose flying fingers are often seen, but she never heard. So thank you all for being here. I've told the moderators to interrupt me at any time if there's a question or there seems to be an issue with audio or video. I am at home, as probably most of you are. So I have a family, I have a dog, and I have slow internet. So hopefully that won't be too much of a problem tonight. Let's see, I think with that, I'm going to make that go away. Let's get into some blue lines. Let's figure it out. So first, the agenda. As a housekeeping point, I do want to let you all know this is a totally safe space to ask any questions about the topic. Accessibility really does thrive when we embrace the growth mindset. So we learn from one another as we go. I've been doing this for about 15 years before working at Microsoft. I was at JP Morgan Chase Bank for a while. Then before that, I was at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And I've had a whole host of careers in for-profit, nonprofit institutions going back quite a ways. So also know here that I was going to say the thoughts and opinions expressed here are totally mine. They don't represent Microsoft. So take that all with a grain of salt. So the agenda tonight, the welcome, we're already in it. I'm going to go through some accessible design building blocks. What is a blue line? Cover the elements of a blue line, applying blue lines to designs. And then I've left a big section for Q&A because so much of accessibility is based on context. And I wanted to make sure that you all had time to ask some of those difficult questions that might need a little more time or context or discussion to go through. So let's start with a super quick overview of foundational information. Included are some resources that you can review after the class. If this is maybe a new topic or you want to brush up on some skills, or maybe you want to build upon what you already know. But let's take a quick minute to think about the terms often used interchangeably, inclusive design and accessible design. And a shout out to Jessica Ivins for her blog covering the inclusive and accessible design resources. So while they're deeply related to one another, there are differences. Inclusive design is designing for a diversity of needs and experiences and backgrounds, whereas accessible design is a measurable implementation of inclusive design. So within this, we can see that an accessible experience is an outcome of an inclusive process. So I've seen a lot of design shops embrace inclusive design as a single issue struggle, maybe of gender, identity, race perspectives, while not fully drawing on the intersectional perspectives of other marginalized experiences. Think aging, ability, socioeconomic status, education, health disparities, digital access even. So as an exercise, I like to remind myself of the social model of disability so I can challenge my assumptions and my own lived experiences. So the social model of disability identifies systemic barriers or derogatory attitudes and social exclusion, all of those things that make it difficult or impossible for individuals to reach their potential. So when I hear that definition, I can easily consider that social model applied to any group of people disregarded by society in one way or another. So many people using our experiences are marginalized and identify with at least one marginalized group. So whatever social constructs we use to group people, chances are we're inadvertently excluding people, which means we can't truly create an inclusive experience. Our workplaces continually are asking us to do more with less. And so within that, our instinct is to shave off people who don't embody a normal user or people whose interactions we don't see on a daily basis. But when you look at the vast numbers of people shaved off piece by piece, you realize that more people become excluded from your interaction than those who are actually included. And we know that an accessible design creates a robust experience that adapts to changing platforms, changing environments, abilities, changing access points, and even perspectives. The latest data from the World Health Organization, which is probably going to be updated in a year or so, indicates at the time 20% of the world's population benefited from accessible experiences, and that's pre-COVID. So if you add to that number the people of short-term injuries or illnesses, people with situational or temporary issues, maybe they've got a state of heightened stress and anxiety. I think we're all familiar with that. And even consider people dealing with the short and long-term effects of COVID. The number of people impacted quickly becomes exponential. And our digital spaces are now just as important as our physical spaces amid this global pandemic. So this work is essential to build a foundation, a methodology, and principles of an inclusive world. So with that, here are some of the building blocks. If you're new to this concept within your design, there's some starting resources, everything from some guidelines, which are the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, 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 potato, whatever you want to say. The underlying principles are that we make things perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. I've got also a list of articles here. My favorite right now is Building the Woke Web. It's a blog from Alyssa Part, written by Olu Nigi Awusosi. And then we've got videos from the likes of Carl Groves, who's an accessibility guru. His video is the What is this thing and what does it do? I will urge you to turn on captions with that to help. There's some inconsistent audio from it looked like some kind of presentation at a conference or something. So the audio fades in and out, gets really loud and really quiet. So do yourself a favor and turn on captions. And then inspiration and tools. Sometimes when you're getting started or you're kind of stuck, it helps to see maybe what other people might be doing. There's the Accessibility Wins blog from Marcy Sutton, the Microsoft Inclusive Design site with ideas and toolkits. And then there's a host of big sites, larger sites that might serve as inspiration. Keep in mind, they don't have accessibility perfect all the time, but it really does help if you need a reference for progressive enhancement ideas or a foundation to start brainstorming from. And finally, some deep geekery. There's element mappings for HTML in the W3C. And then it sounds Super complex, but the Developer's Guide to Accessibility Mechanics from Leonie Watson, it's not as technical as it sounds. And I think for the design crew, it helps kind of connect some of the dots that you might need to understand how your designs and what you're choosing as far as interactions and roles impact assistive technology. And a few more things in our building blocks are around HTML and ARIA, things to inform your design and interaction choices. So consider Semantic HTML is your friend. It's a mini accessible framework. It has keyboard interaction built in. It has assistive technology support built in, like roles and states. It's truly amazing if you use it. But a lot of teams don't use it now. They have custom frameworks that are all divs and spans mean nothing to assistive technology. That's where ARIA comes in. ARIA supports HTML. It doesn't replace it. So if you're stuck with a framework with a bunch of divs and spans, ARIA can help extend that. Or if you're building an experience where there isn't an HTML component to use, ARIA is there to help. ARIA can be your friend in that instance. Let's see, I think I covered only use it when interactions don't exist in HTML. When using non-semantic HTML, again, those divs and spans to build custom things, this is where you would need ARIA roles, states, values, and other interaction models. If you're new to HTML and ARIA, building a custom control or learning what your existing control should do, there's a great article on WebAIM's site that cites keyboard techniques. And there it'll tell you, like, do I tab into this and do I arrow, or how do I trigger this? How do I close it? For example, a radio button. A lot of people think that you would tab through all the items, but that's not the case. You tab to the first item, use the arrow key to hear the selections, you make your choice, and then you move on. And then another really great helpful article is I've seen ARIA commonly misused to label every single control in a view, and that is completely unnecessary. So this What's in an Accessible Name article really does help you learn when and where to use ARIA versus the native string that might be part of the control. Let's see. And finally, the first rule of ARIA is don't use ARIA. That's the Fight Club reference on the screen. So moderators, is there any questions or anything that I need to take into consideration before I move on?
Not at the moment. Everything is, will you be sharing the slides afterwards? So we've got those questions handled for you.
Yep, I will definitely be sharing the slides. So when talking about Bluelines, I do want to give credit where credit is due. I learned about this concept from Jack Nicolai, who works at Adobe. He shared a talk at an LIC meetup of accessibility professionals in Seattle a couple of years ago. So as soon as Jack shared this idea, I realized, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the essential bridge that's covered so many gaps within digital experiences that a lot of experts that I worked with were trying to figure out, like, how do we work with designers and developers and PMs and get all this stuff aligned. So at the time I worked at JP Morgan Chase, I took the idea back there. It took root, it started growing. And now that I'm at Microsoft, I see a lot of design teams taking this idea and really making it their own. So Bluelines, what are they? They're essentially interaction blueprints. Creating Bluelines allows you to think through and document what each thing is in your design and what it does. You may realize a not so subtle theme by now, where I'm drawing parallels between the built environment and our digital environments, like foundations, building blocks, specs, elevations, blueprints, or CAD files. All of these things fulfill essential needs in constructing experiences, whether it's for the built environment and physical spaces or our digital ones. My sister is an architect and she does construction spec writing. So we compare notes all the time about how our work intersects and has some really interesting parallels. So architects wouldn't dream of just giving builders and contractors a digital rendering of the outside of a building. But essentially, if you think through, if we're just giving a team of redline, that's kind of what we're doing as designers, is just showing how something looks down to pixel spacing and exact text values, but no mention about what something is and what it does and how it works with a keyboard and a mouse. So in the example shown here, around a toggle. There's a couple of screenshots on the right. The designers have clearly outlined what the toggle is. It's a button, along with the visible label, which is a programmatic name. They've also indicated various states, not only for visual interaction with the mouse, but also non-visual and keyboard-only interactions. And on the left, I've got an example of what an architect might provide to a building crew. There's the outside computer rendering or the relief. There's then like additional specs that go down to the carpet and the trim and the roof tiles and felt and sheathing and a floor plan. So all of these things come together to let people know what they're building. So now that we've covered the what, let's take a bit of a deeper journey into the concept of blue lines, and know that when we talk about documenting these interaction and accessibility guidelines, the work here isn't just for you and the design teams. These requirements become documentation and artifacts of the conversations that you have across your product development teams. So we've got authors like PMs, interaction and visual designers, content editors, and even consults from subject matter experts. And then from there, we turn over these accessibility documents to our consumers. Again, more interaction and visual designers, other editors, engineers and devs, even testers, product stakeholders, and more compliance experts. And then the requirement methods. So while blue lines are one really great way to do it and document it, think about adding accessibility and inclusion in every method the team uses: test cases, prototypes, technical specs, user stories. This can cover such a wide range of things. So now what you've been waiting to kind of get into, what do we put in a blue line? So I've got some examples on this page of icons used in files to document accessibility and interactions. So to really extend our red lines into and wireframes into something, a blue line, you'll need a way to document the page structure, the tab order, the reading order, interactive element information such as name and label, the role of the control, the state and the value of the control, and then any special keyboard shortcuts. So that includes things like maybe you do Control D to delete, something like that. This doesn't mean that you're documenting how assistive technology, like using the H key to navigate through headings, would work. These are specialized shortcuts for your product or experience. And then you would also want to document contextual help for controls that might rely on layout cues or visual affordances to communicate action or relationships. So the fact is, you can shape this work to work with whatever design system you have based on what information you need to call out. So keep in mind that these elements are on top of any kind of style guide, documentation, or pattern libraries. Again, moderators, any questions?
You have one question about, do you have a Figma page with these blue line elements?
I don't have a Figma page. At the end, Microsoft is supposed to release theirs soon. They're in the works of cleaning up the file and adding it to Fluent. And I have a link to where that should be housed. And then there's also a link to Jack Nicolai's his version of this as well. And that is existing, and that is at the end of the presentation that I will share.
Awesome, that's it.
Awesome. Okay, so now let's take what we've covered and apply these ideas in a practical way. So for the sake of time, I'm going to skip and assume that teams know and perform visual checks for things like color contrast, error scenarios, use of color alone, and a lot of other content editing checks. So as a starting point, let's begin at a really high page level view to provide a foundation of navigation and, again, that page structure that are fundamental for assistive technologies. And those are landmarks and headings, which will probably be documented once in your design system. And I have to say, I feel so paranoid about presenting this in front of a group of designers. Forgive my crude stylings. I'm limited to PowerPoint and I am not a designer. Also note that I tried to keep this really generic so people wouldn't get caught up in minute details and maybe overlook how this might apply to your situation. So if you go back to that built environment analogy, you can think of these page structures as the floor plans that outline rooms, doors, and windows. So in this landmark sketch, notice how everything in the view is included in a landmark section. The team might have colloquial names like I have on here for these areas, or they might have official names. And what I've added below is a table that shows the HTML and ARIA markup that assistive technology uses to provide people with the structural information. So in the first column, again, that's that colloquial name or region that you might call out. The asterisk indicates that some of these regions may benefit from something like an ARIA label. Like, let's say you've got multiple areas of navigation or multiple searches on a page. If you just have the ARIA role of search or region, then what kind of region am I in? Is it a product highlight region? Is it an ad region? Am I searching just for like my bank statements, or am I searching the entire site for something? So using an ARIA label for these hidden programmatic structures behind the scenes will help, again, set the stage for navigation. And then the next level is a more detailed mock-up of the page layout with headings to show the basic content structure. So the headings here are hierarchical, where there's a primary heading or an H1. Almost always, 95% of the time, there is one H1 for the page. And it summarizes kind of the overarching theme of the page. Then you've got major sections under H2s. And if those heading level 2s have other sections related to those topics, then you've got H3s through H6s. So these headings help create a really programmatic representation of how content is related, which helps people build a mental model of that page if they can't see the layout. I'm going to pause again and see if anybody has questions on this page.
A couple questions here. How does this Blueline framework apply to native or non-native web design? How might it also apply to other kinds of software or hardware experiences?
It's fairly agnostic. Most native things, like while you might not have HTML and ARIA, you would still have accessibility hints or ways to call out accessibility information, like headings or rules or names of things. So it is pretty platform agnostic. So you could use it in other experiences, like whether it's a Windows application or an Android or iOS application.
What is the best way to create hierarchy between elements that are on the same level? Is the order of reading an HTML file?
Yeah, the DOM order is really important. So that's the order of the code in the back end. And so think if you were to like take your entire experience and just kind of like force it into a single column view, you would have your H1, and then the H2s would need to come in the order of what you feel like is important or what matches kind of the information that you have in this page as well. Like these H2s, like I'll get into it in the next page as far as like a focus order or reading order, but something like this, you would want to take into account the importance of this. And are you going to read across in row form? Are you going to read down in column form? And that's where you knowing your product and your experience is important, but it is communicating that to the developers so they know how to structure that in the DOM order. Am I going to the H2s all on the left column first? I'm going to go across. How is that ordered? And then because of the H2s, 3, 4 through 6s, then as you have those nested within your H2, then that applies their relationship to the parent element.
Great, I think that handles all of it for now.
Okay, cool. So these next couple of slides are going to help cement the idea of how page structure works. I've got examples of Microsoft.com where on the left screenshot, there's landmarks shown. And if you visit the site yourself, you would discover multiple regions and navigation, where in some cases there are ARIA labels added to differentiate between the regions, like multiple regions of navigation or multiple just plain regions, like a featured product region. So this helps kind of set a larger lay of the land. And then on the right, I've got the same page, but with headings notated this time. So if you can see the screenshot, there are hidden headings notated here. There's an H1 that's totally hidden from view, and the same with an H2. And what that does is you've provided a visual implication of structure and relationship. And we need to do that same thing on the back end programmatically. So what they did was a hidden element, a hidden H1, a hidden H2 that provides that same structure and relationships, but doesn't, for designers that don't want to quote unquote clutter up their visual display, and they do a lot of this relationship building by layout and affordances, then that allows you a way to provide a parallel experience. So now as we move into the next layer of documentation, we're going to talk about keyboard focus. And note that keyboard focus is for interactive elements only. The reading order is what covers all of the content, which includes static text and the interactive elements. And all of those are use DOM order to kind of set how a screen reader user or an assistive technology user would navigate and encounter those as they're going through the experience. So this exercise allows you to think through all of the interactive elements and how they work together in the view. So do you have 50 cards on a page and you want to empower people to move through them with arrows rather than having 100 tabbable items on a page? Or maybe you've got some cards and there's only like 3 or 4, and having each one be tabbable is really what you want. You want to drive interactions with those. So these thoughts will help you determine if the experience where cards display is a collection of like visually grouped content. Should it be a list in a list view, or should this be a tab panel that would allow you to arrow through it? Or maybe you have columns and rows that don't have a clear navigation path. Do I navigate left to right across the row first? Or does my focus go in a more vertical flow, like we were talking about earlier, following the main column content before navigating into a pane on the right with more supplemental information? So on this view, we start up in the top left with what is often the logo. There's another search icon. I did document a skip link, a skip navigation link, and that helps customers who may be using keyboard only or maybe using a screen reader skip through a lot of the duplicate information in the header and navigation so they can jump straight to the main content. Because if you were a visual user and you were forced to read through every piece of navigation and every link in the header before you would get to the main content, you'd get pretty frustrated pretty quick. So the skip link is a great way to help you get to the main content very quickly. And that can be the first thing. It doesn't have to be the third thing, but you do need to put it pretty early in the experience because the idea, again, is to skip past repetitive links. The next thing, but if you don't want to skip and you want to explore the page and get to learn it better, you've got these experiences in the top, whether it's like something for your count or settings. And then for a practical exercise on this iPad view, it looks like there's some controls on the left that allow you to change content in the view. And rather than adding 5 tab stops to the page, this would be a tab panel, excuse me, where you can focus on the first item. You can tab to and focus on the first item, and then you arrow through the other items if you decide that you want to explore those and then activate those. And you would hear whether or not they're selected or unselected to know if that's changing the view that you're experiencing. But if you don't want to change the view, again, you're exploring the page more, the next tab stop would take you to either this alert or maybe it's a breadcrumb of some sort. Then going into the main page itself, again, I documented a tab panel so that you could see what it might be like if users are tabbing through. Maybe it's a carousel of featured products or some top news, something like that. They could arrow through this again, rather than adding, like I've seen, and I hate to call out my own product, but I've seen in a product that I support like 60 tab stops added through carousel, and it makes it really cumbersome and hard to get to what you want to, especially if each one of those carousel items is a heading. How do you skip to the next element? So a tab panel would be a good experience there. Then you move on to something, maybe these are ads here where you've got larger interaction, whether it's touch or just visual things to draw you in. Let's see. And then keep in mind, we're talking about focus order. So non-interactive elements do not get a tab focus. So that's why you might see on this bottom left, a big section that's static content. Maybe it's a news feed and there's no links in there. It wouldn't get called out in the tab focus. And then you would go to the next interactive item, which looks like a link below a picture. And then finally a list of maybe it's suggestions or helpful topics or articles before you reach the last item on the page, which is the contact us or leave a message button. So again, this page level view shows you how these keyboard interactions flow with a tab versus an arrow, and how you can design an experience that lets users really succinctly explore the page. It also highlights the importance of headings. So without headings, you might only get to a series of interactive elements without knowing how they relate to each other, how they work together, what static information might be around it. So headings and clearly named interactive controls work in conjunction to provide a really rich experience and a mental model of this landscape that parallels the visual landscape you've created. And know that your design and interaction expertise, again, are needed to think through this experience beyond a mouse, beyond touch and visual experiences. So a consideration that you might want to have with a design control is make sure that you do something that behaves consistently throughout the page, site, the app, and the product suite. For example, using an X icon to close it in one place, but that same X icon deletes something in another place could be really confusing. So this is where thinking through and documenting clearly will help. And I think this draws on a lot of the fundamentals that you probably learned within school. Let me pause and see if anybody has questions.
Got quite a few here. Any research on cognitive load for screen readers? How much content, ARIA, etc., is too much for users?
It really does depend. There are people that use screen readers who are super users, and they can take in and truncate and figure out stuff really quickly. Then you might have somebody who comes to a screen reader later in life, like macular degeneration, and maybe they're not a digital native. So using and interacting with a screen reader is more difficult for them. So it really is all over the map. I haven't found comprehensive research that really helps you try to find that middle ground. So that's why having tests that include people with disabilities when you're doing user interaction testing is really helpful. Make sure those are inclusive so you could hear from people as you're going to know, like, am I adding too much information or is it too little? In the end, though, what we want to do is not assume that somebody is less capable in understanding because they're using a screen reader. So I've seen things like where people, somebody's asking for the weather and there's somebody arguing that instead of putting 62 degrees F or C, that for a screen reader user, we'd have to spell out Fahrenheit or Celsius. Well, just because somebody's using a screen reader doesn't mean they don't know what that is. So if you're not going to spell it out for somebody that can see 62 degrees F or C, why would you spell it out for somebody using a screen reader? So I think it's finding, it's analyzing this and making sure that what you're presenting visually aligns with what you're presenting programmatically. And I think that'll help you find the right balance for your customers. And then you can add some testing and do some progressive enhancement.
All right, another question on research. Have you done any research on accessible typography? I've been looking into font families and font sizes that can help with low vision or dyslexic people. Any thoughts on that would be appreciated.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff, and it seems like people research and tend to come out with what they want to. And unfortunately, most of my work is around like compliance, black or white, yes or no. Does this fit into the WCAG guidelines for accessibility? And that really doesn't say anything about font families. It's more around contrast. I'm sure if you've researched this, you've noticed that. It really does, again, there's so much diversity. Like accessibility is like humanity coming to your digital experience. So what works for one person might not work for the next person that has the same disability or barriers to their experience based on what they've lived, what tools they're familiar with. So what I would urge you is to consider in this case, figuring out if there's a way that you can allow people the power to choose what works best for them. That's something that I've been diving more into and trying to advocate for and research with the teams that I support, because you know, I'm a 44-year-old white one living in Seattle that grew up in the Midwest. I could probably throw a brick and hit somebody else that has the same demographics as me, but would expect something different out of the web or need to take in information differently. So again, if we empower our customers with choice and not create an experience that's so locked into having to consume it in this one way with only this one font or this one kerning or something like that, then it opens things up to be a bit more free. And I think we found that design can often be empowered by some limitations that we have to impose on it. So I know that's not a lot. It's not very helpful. I don't have a clear answer for you, but that is unfortunately a lot of what accessibility is. It's a lot of gray areas. But maybe this inspires you to find something. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Last question for now.
Okay.
You mentioned testing with disabled users. When you only have limited resources in terms of time and money, how do you decide who to test with, considering there's a huge variation in the potential of user abilities out there?
Yeah. Well, I think what you do is you just make sure that when you're opening up and recruiting people, that you're not inadvertently excluding people. So I feel like a lot of times what we get is we send out these invites and stuff to people and we don't have a diverse enough pool of people to choose from. So making sure that your recruitment techniques allow for people to say, hey, I need an accommodation, or hey, maybe I experience barriers with attention or anxiety or other things, or maybe I'm neurodiverse and I have a hard time taking in facial cues or emotional cues in an experience. So maybe you do have a more diverse audience than you realize, but you haven't been asking the right questions, or your mailer might, or your recruitment techniques might need to be a little more broadened, or even just, I think we've all learned recently, language matters. So letting people know you can ask for accommodations may be a way to help, you know, if you've got 10 or 12 users that you're testing and that's all you have money for, then that's all you have money for. But maybe chances are if you open it up, you'll get somebody who might be willing to share their ability or disability with you. Again, I think we find a lot of people trying to cover, and that's changing now. So creating something that allows people to be who they are and come at you and to your testing experience with feeling free to express and ask for help or accommodations or say, I don't understand, maybe a way to kind of slowly push the needle on that. I'm trying to think of other ways. I mean, just if there happen to be employee resource groups where you work, that might be a way. There may be, if you're trying to target certain customer groups, there's nonprofit organizations that maybe they'd love to partner with and have a voice in your experience. Another way I found is maybe I can't formally do UX testing with somebody, but if I've got a feedback control that's open and I invite people to be part of this progressive enhancement of this experience with me, then I get their feedback And I get to incorporate that into what I'm building in my experience so that I don't have to feel like I've got to move mountains to like come up with budget to test with 10 screen reader users or 10 people who might be low vision and use a magnifier. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Awesome. We're going to hold off the questions until the end.
Cool. So next we're going to get into some more granular information of components and interactions. So think interior building finishes like paint, flooring, doorknobs, and light switches. So I thought we could break down a fairly widespread experience now, which people like to refer to as a card. These can range from simple visual groupings of content with like an image or a link, static text, up to something really complex with a lot of links, headings, buttons, text all together. So let's start dissecting this card. And as you look at the card itself and the elements, ask yourself, what is that? And what does it do? So what is the intent of this experience? What action do you want the user to take? Are there other actions we want to enable for the user? Are those actions distinct and clear, or are they muddled with a single control doing multiple things? Is something being asked of the user? And if so, is it direct or implied? What is the most simplistic or basic way to complete the action? What standard pattern can be used to explain the interaction? And does this interaction create friction or does it empower ease? So you may have other questions you might ask or practices you might run through as you analyze your designs. But like I said, this is a fairly common way to visually group and present information about a topic or a product. It's got a large heading, that's a link, an image related to that heading. There's some clear actionable items to select, content related to that topic or product. So we're going to say the primary goal of this is to get someone to purchase this product. To drive that purchase, the product team has determined the most important information a customer would need at a glance to either make a purchase decision or to click in for more product details. And to help set the stage for this next step, know that there's 3 links, a heading, 3 images, a hover control, and some static text. So again, we're going to start with keyboard focus first. So this is in the DOM order. We've got the heading, which is that link. We've got the price tag, which is also a link. We've got this star rating control thingamajig. It's not a link. That's the weird hover tooltip thingamajig. And then another link, which is this 7. So keep in mind that there's options here before I get into this. I did go with the simplest option, but there's lots of different ways that this could go depending on how the card is built and the order in which elements are added in the DOM. So I've seen this a lot with people using content management systems where the image and the product, or the image alt text and the product name are basically the same. It could be a news article, it could be a product, it could be a number of different things, but you've got a content management system and that content is then spit out into your experience. So the alt text on this is the same as the heading. So in that case, that makes this image pretty decorative. So it shouldn't take up another tab stop in the order. And also you can use CSS to float this above the heading so that in the DOM order, you've got the heading, then you've got the image, which is basically decorative. So it's not going to get its own tab stop and it's kind of hidden from screen readers. And then you can go through the other static content. In addition, having the heading first, it really does help group and all the related content, which gives people the same mental models of content and relationships, whether they see it, they hear it, or both. And these nuances, again, are where your product knowledge, your customer knowledge, and the vast spectrum of user interactions inform your design. So again, after that, we're going to document what these interactive items are, their names, and any other information. So you see here, the first item is that heading. It's got the product name string. It's also a link. So we've got the name. I put in here the specific Amazing Amalfi Modern Monet Paint by Numbers kits. But then again in brackets, I put what you might put in your documentation, that this is a dynamic string, a product name string that also duplicates as, or doubles as a visual heading. And that this item, it's a heading, and it's a heading level 3. And within that, there is a link nested. The next item is just a simple link. It's the price, $42. And again, in brackets is that dynamic information. You can choose how specific or how generic you get depending on what experience you're building. The next item is this toggle tool tip thing where you get to see the ratings. So this is an image. The alt text of the image becomes the name. So that's 4.7 out of 5 stars. That's that product rating string. The role is a button. I've seen this as a link very commonly. I think in this experience, it might be actually out in the wild as a link, but know for accessibility that a button would probably be a better choice. No judgment on teams choosing to use a link, but the good rule of thumb for accessibility is that a button triggers an action. Think a submit, expanding a menu, showing a pop-up, but links navigate people to somewhere else. So in this case, a button to trigger that pop-up to show. And then here is where you're going to document that it has a state because it's a button that has a pop-up. And that is either expanded to show the content in there and to let people know, hey, there's more content here to explore, or it's collapsed so they can know they can just continue on without interacting with that content if they don't want to hear about it. The other element in this is another link. The name is 7, that's the visual string, and it's the product review string, or yeah, the product review string. It's a link, and if you can see on the documentation, there's a hint here, and the hint helps add in information that is visually designed on the page. So because that 7 and the link is placed directly next to that star control, visually, I can infer that that 7 is related to the product reviews or the ratings. But if I'm navigating through this, through just interactive controls, and all I hear is 7 link, I'm not exactly sure what that means. Are you suggesting there's maybe 7 related products, or there's 7 variations of this product that I might want to look at, or there's 7 product reviews? So adding that hint text, which could be an ARIA described by, which is hidden text, and the experience that again creates that mental model to align with the visual model will help people connect the information and understand that this is 7 product reviews that I would link to if I were to visit this. So, and then next you can document any kind of static images and icons that aren't interactive, but still need their own text alternatives and names. So in this case, it's a logo. It is, the name is Prime. You could say Prime logo. The role is image. And so the lovely thing about these blue lines is that you can customize all your notations. For example, maybe you're using an existing framework and you could add framework component names to this instead of the roles, because your design will inherit the elements, traits, and interactions of that component. But that wouldn't work if you're stuck with a framework that just uses divs and span elements to create those components. So in that case, then you're going to have to document how to extend that framework to add in this accessibility information. So if you're using a framework, you got to know what the component is, what accessibility comes with it, what it is, what it does, and that becomes essential to how the entire experience comes together. Another way to customize this would be to add information about what a screen reader like maybe NVDA would announce. So if that's added to this documentation, let's say for the heading link, you could add another line in there at the bottom, like assistive technology dash, and it would have all of that information together to signify what a screen reader would announce. And that would be Amazing Amalfi, Modern Monet Paint by Number Kits for Adults, 16 by 20, link heading level 3. And know that each screen reader might have variations on what order it reads that content out in, but it gives maybe testers or PMs or people doing demos an idea of what to expect if they were to use a screen reader to either test for bugs or to try to demo this experience. And a quick additional note about consistency. Hopefully you can understand here that consistency in help documentation, where names of controls also match the programmatic names, will really improve the usability and accessibility for customers. For example, if your help documentation tells people to go to the help page and they go to the site and there is no help page, it's like contact us, then they're going to be lost. So again, consistency in not only like what's visually there, but what's programmatically there will help. And I think we're ready for Q&A. I wanted to call out one more thing. So something to note, as you work on Bluelines, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Progressive enhancement, UX research, gradual improvement, all this will help you refine and improve as you go. This is the growth mindset. Again, accessibility, and this is humanity. It's a huge spectrum. You can't say all people who are blind or expect Y. People who have learning disabilities or dyslexia expect Z. It's a spectrum of people, and you have to meet people where they are. So how do we build this to be a robust and flexible environment? Okay, Q&A.
All right, building off that last slide, hints made me think of tooltips. Do you have any recommendations on how to make these types of elements accessible?
First of all, be really mindful of tooltips. People do tend to overuse them or only provide them on hover. And when the fact of the matter is, like, maybe your design could be simplified in a way that maybe you don't have to use a tooltip. But there, I will say, check out Sarah Higley. She has a YouTube video, Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, Higley, H-I-G-L-E-Y. She works at Microsoft. She has a whole video about tooltip accessibility. She gives you the what's up, what's down, and all of that stuff, and has amazing suggestions in there for how to make tooltips accessible.
If you had to pick 3 things to have designers start with, what would those be?
Landmarks. No, strike that. Headings first. Then I would have names and roles. If those are the only 3 things you can do, headings, names and roles of your interactive components. If that's all you can do, focus on that.
Can you follow up with why?
Because those are the foundational elements that really, for as long as we've been doing accessibility, it's really frustrating that we're still having to call this out. Hopefully from what I presented, you can understand how headings and that structure really do give you a way to jump into an experience, to discern what's on the page. Is there something here that I want or need from this experience? And if not, do I need to keep navigating or go away and look somewhere else? So headings are really that anchor that people who use assistive technology will use. And we create visual headings all the time. So why not create something programmatic? And then names and roles for components. I need to know what this thing does and what it's going to do for me if I click on it. Without that information, like without any of this information, it provides no structure. So imagine the entire web being just a series of like notepad files where there's no formatting. There's like basically no line breaks. There's no information about what's truly interactive and what something does. So headings, names, and roles will help start to provide structure in a way that makes this information consumable if I can't take in that visual layout.
Speaking about components, is the H1 element used for logo headers bad for accessibility?
No, it's not necessarily bad. I would say if you it depends on the experience. Like if you're a search engine, well, then your H1 is always going to be your logo, and that makes sense. If if you're a shopping site, I do feel like it can provide an anchoring, and then your H2s can then be more page specific. It isn't necessarily bad or good. I have found it that happens to be more common than not, that the H1 is now like the logo of the site. But if you could customize that maybe with a string, especially if it's a hidden heading, if you could customize that with a bit more about what the page might be, customize that string, then maybe that would be a bit more helpful. But you also keep in mind, have the page title, which is another element of accessibility. Hopefully the content editors would take that into mind. So when somebody navigates to a new URL, a new page, they'll hear the page title. And again, that gives them a sense of where they are, what to expect. But when we have single page applications and you've got kind of the wrapper that stays the same and only the kind of the main contents are kind of changing out for the view to make faster loading times, then you keep each one the same. And then maybe you use, you could use focus management to land people on the H2 of that page instead of having to go back up when they click and navigate in that single page application and have to go through everything again. But an H1 overall, it's not awful to have that be the logo for the experience.
Got it. Here's another follow-up question based on hierarchy.
Okay.
Is there a recommendation as to which order to follow? Because of what users are used to. So for example, always start with a logo, have navigation be in the next top 5, etc.
Not necessarily. I would say that what it needs to follow is the visual layout you have, because you've thought through what this visual layout is. So don't skip content and assume that you always have to go heading, navigation, sign in or settings, and then main content. You want it to, if you're in English, like kind of take this general pattern of the reading order, left to right, top to bottom. So don't be skipping around the page or even skip certain elements if they need to fall in that DOM order. And I wouldn't be too prescriptive about it always has to follow this flow. It needs to follow a flow that makes sense with your visual design. And keep in mind that not everybody using a screen reader is blind. You may have people with dyslexia who maybe English is a second language, who have low vision, where they can still see what's on the page. And if they're going through this experience and all of a sudden their focus goes somewhere else or goes to a place where they don't expect it, that it wouldn't follow that natural reading order of how I take in information on the page, then that would make it inconsistent and throw it off.
We're almost at time, but I've got 2 questions left for you before handing off to Rigo.
Okay.
Second to last question, any best practices to QA the accessibility implementation?
I can add that on here and send a list. I have a list of 5 things that are the most common issues that you can kind of check when you're going through the accessibility, and you don't have to necessarily be an expert. But I'll add that to this list of resources that I have. So again, I had referred to, there's Jack Nicolai's toolkit, a couple of his recordings, the accessibility insights tool. That's a big help if you're going to check the accessibility of your site. It has automation in there, which can find about 30% of issues, but it also has some other really cool tools like the landmark toggle where you can turn on and see landmarks on the page, or there's another toggle for headings. There's also one where you can see the tab order or the flow of the design. And this is all in the rendered UI in the browser. So if you check out that accessibility insights tool, that'll help you a lot. But I'll also add my top 5 list. And that's what I'm doing to try to kind of make myself and accessibility knowledge scalable, because not everybody has an expert on hand. Not everybody has time to dive into this, or a designer. What can we do to kind of check and find and mitigate the most risky and the most problematic accessibility issues?
Last question that ties in directly to that last statement. What do you do if a team insists on using learn more as buttons when they have when they behave as links, taking you to a new page. Would
Right.
hidden link text for screen readers be advised?
You can do that. I would advocate for that heavily, just because, I mean, put yourself in the shoes of somebody that, like, if I were to only see a little box, and if it had 5 learn more links, and that was all I got to see, I had no context as to what that is. I would want some kind of information in there. So having some kind of, maybe it's an ARIA described by, and it links to a string of text already on the page that kind of supplements that information for a screen reader. I think that could help, or some other hidden text that adds context, like that 7 link that I showed in the card. You know, without that visual information, I don't know what 7 link means. I don't know what learn more button or learn more links do. And if it's taking me to a new page, that could be a barrier. I could use a shortcut key to get back if I don't like what it's doing. But adding something in that learn more link about, like, opens, you know, navigates you to the contact us page or something like that, that might be helpful. But that's where maybe a content editor or thinking through this design and talking through the experience, because I feel like a lot of the people who really push hard for this, maybe they're not aware of the barriers that this creates for people, or they haven't put themselves in other people's shoes, and maybe they don't care. There's a lot of people that don't care and are here for the bottom line, get it done, get it fast, get it out, and on to change. So in that case, it can be difficult, but you've got to choose your battles and live to fight another day.
Perfect. Well, I think we're at time. Thank you so much, Jen, and
Oh my gosh,
to everyone else who jumped in. And thank you so much to our captioner. That was incredible. Thank you so much. Before we go, I know it's dinner time, but if I can have 1 more minute of everyone's time, keep an eye out for an email where we'll be sharing this this presentation as well as a survey. Please, we really appreciate your feedback. We want to curate meaningful events that you will find useful and valuable, like Jen's presentation today. Also keep an eye out for our Medium post. I will be sharing the link right in the chat below, as well as a few useful links so that you can get in touch with us and learn more about the alumni board. And lastly, I want to tease something that we are preparing for next year. The alumni board is crafting a Slack community for all the HCD alumni, in which we are hoping to encourage thoughtful conversation and meaningful networking, as opposed to just, you know, a place where we share job openings and so on. And so please keep an eye out for that. We are very excited to have to be launching that in the near future. And again, thank you so much for everyone to joining tonight. Jen, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.